Jai Shri Ram. Welcome to the series of videos exclusively made for all the citizens in this world who are 60 years and above. For them to watch, reflect, and act immediately in the wake of the US and Iran war. The series will be carrying the first question and the last question. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? Why it is called first question and last question? Because every question starts with this question and ends with this question. And this carries a series of uncomfortable questions which many people in the age bracket of 60 years and above would not like to ask because they would like to guard their own peace. Let us see how much we are protecting our own peace, security, and well being. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? Why shall we contribute to United Nations when it is irrelevant? For the current year 2026, India's financial contribution to the United Nations regular budget is 35.18 million, which is approximately 296 crores in Indian currency annum, that is every year. India has already declared that it has got UN honor roll because it cleared this payment in full as of February 3rd, 2026. This is a recognition for the few member states which are numbering 55 out of 193 members enrolled for the United Nations. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? The paradox of the veto. Is peace subservient to power? The United Nations was founded on the principle of sovereign equality. Yet, it gives five nations a permanent get out of the jail free card. The question: how can an organization claim to uphold international law when the five primary architects of the law are the only ones legally allowed to break without any consequence? The depth of the question is this: if the police department gave the five biggest landowners in the town the right to veto their own arrests, would we still call it a justice system or a police system? The sovereignty trap. Can a club of states ever control states? The United Nations is not a world government. It's a member club, rather a membership club of 193 sovereign nations. The question is this: is it logically possible to end war using a system that prioritizes state sovereignty over human protection? The depth of this question is this: when a government commits atrocities against its own people, the United Nations often stays silent because of the non interference clause. Does this mean that the United Nations Charter is actually a shield for dictators rather than a sword for the oppressed? These are the questions the people of the world, especially the senior citizens of the world, must keep asking loudly. And our mainstream media will not ask these questions because it's a sold media. And people will have to come on social media like YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to raise these questions. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? The United Illusion. Do we actually share a definition of peace? We assume peace is a universal goal, but for many nations, peace is simply the absence of resistance to their interests. This is what is really bothering all the countries in the world. The question: why do we expect the United Nations to stop wars when the member states that fund it are also the world's largest arms exporters? Conflict of interest. The depth. Can an organization truly promote a ceasefire when its most powerful members are simultaneously profiting from the 2.1 trillion global military industrial complex? Wars are waged to clear the inventory of arms and ammunition. This is the fact. Why the citizens of the world, especially the senior citizens of the world, are not asking these questions in the social media? Keep asking these questions. Then we become the ancestors that our children deserve. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? The accountability gap. Why is the UN a moral spectator? The United Nations often finds itself reduced to humanitarian management, cleaning up the mess of the wars it was supposed to prevent. The question is this: at what point does the United Nations role as a witness to tragedy, become a form of complicity? I repeat this question as I fumbled it. At what point does the United Nations role as a witness to tragedy become a form of complicity? The depth of the question is this: if the United Nations can only send blue helmets where all the parties agree to have them, is it anything more than a referee in a game where the players have already decided to ignore the rules? What kind of United Nations body we have had? Can we not ask for its dissolution or a thorough revamp? The philosophical dead end, that is question number 5. Is war the default setting? The United Nations was built on the optimistic post World War II hope that reason could replace force. I repeat, reason could replace force. Meaning, dig out the reason, find out the reason, avoid the wars, avoid the aggression, and talk about reasoning. Why shall a country has got animosity with another country? Reason it out, discuss across the table. That was in fact the motive behind forming United Nations. The question is this: if the United Nations was designed to prevent the last great war, are we failing to build a new system because we are psychologically stuck in 1945? This is a very fundamental key. The ancestors our children deserve. Why India is not able to assert and demand a thorough revamp of the United Nations, as India's population by mid of 2026 is estimated to be 147 billions. India's population is equivalent to 17.79% of the total world population. With this kind of population, why India is not able to assert itself? India has to assert itself so that the countries with less population can also join India. India can certainly become Vishwaguru when it asks right questions. Sadly, India is ruled by senior citizens. You look at all the CMs, you look at all the prime ministers, they are all 60 and above. And even if you look at all the presidents of America, they are all 60 and above. What kind of world they are creating and they are leaving behind them for the children they produced? Children here means not necessarily the children, their sons and daughters, their grandsons, their great grandsons, and so on and so forth. What kind of world are we creating? This is the question through which we will be able to find answers. We need to ask this question in every fora. Thank you for watching this.